Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the 2021 Risk Award ceremony. It's wonderful to have so many people from all around the world join us today. My name is Stephanie. I lead communications and advocacy for the UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, and it's my pleasure to host you for today's exciting Risk Award event. Now, it's not very usual in the field of disaster risk reduction to have good news to share. So today, Munich Re Foundation and UNDRR are really looking forward to celebrating with you today. Not the bad news about disasters, but the good news of clever, committed people and organizations who are working hard to reduce risk and build resilience in some of the world's most at-risk locations. Now, we know that over the past 18 months, many of us have been confined to our homes, and that this experience of being together virtually has taken over our lives. So we hope today that we can shake things up a little, that we can inspire you, challenge you, and most of all, give you courage and hope that you too, wherever you are, can make a difference to a world on the edge. So please do stay with us for the next 40 minutes or so. We'll hear from one of the world's leading global sustainability scientists, Professor Johan Rockström. We'll hear from Dirk Reinhardt, the Vice Chair of the Munich Re Foundation, who will reveal who has won the 2021 Risk Award. We'll hear from Ms. Mami Misatori, Special Representative of the Secretary General for Disaster Risk Reduction, who will share her thoughts about why risk is everybody's business. And last but not least, we'll be treated to a wonderful musical performance from Muller and Makarov from the Gotan Project, who present Anthropoceno. And as with most virtual events of this nature, we're recording, and you'll also see that we have a chat function enabled today. So please do share in the chat where you're joining us from, which organization you represent, where you're based, and keep an eye out on that chat throughout the event for links to resources and websites for further information. We won't be taking questions today, but if you'd like to know more about the Risk Award or anything you've heard today, we will share a couple of contact email addresses for any follow-up questions. Now, chances are, if you're joining us today, you already know that disaster risk reduction saves lives and livelihoods. And the Risk Award recognises the efforts of practitioners around the world in making communities safer and more resilient. And it's my pleasure today to introduce a man who knows more about resilience than just about anyone. Professor Johan Rockström is the director of the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research and the professor in Earth System Science at the University of Potsdam. Professor Rockström is an internationally recognized scientist on global sustainability issues, and he led the development of the planetary boundaries framework for human development in the current era of rapid global change. Professor Rockström is a leading scientist on global water resources with more than 25 years experience in applied water research in tropical regions and more than 150 research publications. He's a member of the European Commission's expert group Mission Board for Adaptation to Climate Change. He's the chair of the Earth Commission, chief scientist of Conservation International, and elected member of the German Academy of Sciences, Leopoldina. You've seen Professor Rockström on Netflix alongside Sir David Attenborough in Breaking Boundaries, The Science of Our Planet. And so we are truly delighted to have you here today, Professor Rockström, to share with us your thoughts on why it's so critical that we pay attention to what our planet is telling us, what science is telling us, and what we should be doing if we're listening. Over to you, Professor Rockström.
Thank you, Stephanie, and it's wonderful to be with you. Hello, everyone. This Risk Award is such a strategic, important step right as we speak, because it is scientifically, I would argue, quite well verified that never in humanity's existence on Earth have we needed resilience building as much as today. Risk and disaster are now systemically occurring around the world as we speak. The extreme year of 2021 is unfortunately one more score along a trend line we've been seeing over the last 2 decades. The monster monsoon over the state of Maharashtra, over just the city of Mumbai, receiving 305 millimeters of storm rainfall over just one night, causing havoc and impacts across such large regions. The 1-year annual event of rainfall just falling down over Henan province in 24 hours, basically flooding a whole infrastructure. The German floods hitting both Belgium, the Netherlands, and Switzerland, 155 millimeters in Europe just over one night, basically undermining social resilience across vast regions. Then we have the observations of heat waves. We even record 38 degrees Celsius of warming in Siberia, up in the Arctic. And of course, the catastrophic heat waves in British Columbia and Canada, 49.6 degrees Celsius, not only an outlier, a super outlier, an event that would not occur in 1,000 years, made more than 150 times more probable because of our human-induced global warming. And on top of this, we have the heat waves and extremes we're seeing across the world. What's the lesson of this? Well, the lesson is very clear now from science. Things are changing faster than we had anticipated. Science is underestimating risk. We are experiencing super extremes. Either we have extreme bad luck, or there's something else at play. It cannot only be explained by the 1.2 degrees Celsius of warming we've seen so far. There may be some other physical interactions occurring, like a critical disruption in the Earth system. And scientifically, we today have the candidate. We have more and more indications that what we're seeing happening in the Northern Hemisphere right now is global warming with loading more moisture in the atmosphere with more intensive rainfall, combined with disruptions in the northern jet stream, which causes Rossby waves, meandering patterns of high wind systems that cause blockage of high and low pressure systems, getting more stationary heat waves, droughts, floods. And that this can be explained by the accelerated melting of the Arctic, which then slows down the whole jet stream because the whole system is driven by the heat exchange between the equator, a warm region, and the colder Arctic. So suddenly we have scientific evidence that what we are causing incrementally and slowly have abrupt risk implications. This is therefore a new world landscape of risk. We cannot say scientifically that we have 100% certainty, but the indications point in this direction. Linear trends of slow change interact with nonlinear trends that can change very rapidly, and that the breaking point is about resilience. We need to understand it. The capacity of systems, I mean, both societies and ecosystems, to buffer and cope with stress and shocks while maintaining the state of function. Today, we define resilience in three different capacities: the capacity to persist in a desired state, to keep a rainforest intact or an ice sheet intact or the jet stream intact or a society intact, but also the flexibility to adapt within a state that we want to remain in. So the recognition that things do sway back and forth and we need social agency, biodiversity, and functions to keep stable. But the third attribute is the ability to transform in situations of crisis. And humanity is now in a state of crisis. We are in the midst of a COVID health crisis with all its devastation across the entire world. But it also teaches us that we have this remarkable capacity as a global community to rise together in the face of a global crisis. The challenge now is how to build resilience and how to recover from COVID-19. We have put $11 trillion on the table for COVID recovery. How to spend them? Well, we need to build resilience. The challenge is that we don't see so much thinking on how to spend this money wisely to truly build resilience to prevent the next pandemic. Because we know that COVID-19 is like most big epidemics and pandemics over the last 30 years, so-called zoonoses. These are virus spillovers from wildlife, often via intermediary hosts like livestock, to humans. And that a reason why we are triggering more epidemics and pandemics that are zoonotic viral disease outbreaks is because of our unsustainable overexploitation of intact ecosystems, risky agriculture, combined in a globalized world of trade and transport. So what we are seeing increasingly is that we have three interconnected crises: the health crisis, an ecological crisis, and a climate crisis. And there's more and more evidence that these interact to raise the risk of future pandemics, and that the pathway towards a healthier and more prosperous and equitable future lies in truly addressing these integrated crises simultaneously. Now, unfortunately, we have more and more signs that this climate crisis is existential. It is at par with the health crisis, but potentially putting all future generations at risk. The latest assessment shows that 9 out of the 15 big tipping point systems that control the state of the climate system are showing signs of a higher degree of variability and instability. Among these 9, I won't list them all, you have the Amazon rainforest, the Greenland ice sheet, the West Antarctic ice shelf, the overturning of heat in the North Atlantic, the jet stream, the coral reef systems in the world. Here we have so much evidence today that they're moving in a direction that may lead from going incremental to abrupt. And just to give you one example, apart from the jet stream and the extreme events we're experiencing right now, that when the Greenland ice sheet melts faster, it releases cold fresh water into the North Atlantic. This has slowed down already the so-called overturning of heat in the North Atlantic, the Gulf Stream. This slowing down impacts the Amazon monsoon system, which leads to higher degree of droughts and forest fires, which has led, as you may have seen, to the very dramatic news that the Amazon rainforest, at least the Brazilian part, has already tipped over from a carbon sink to a carbon source, emitting more greenhouse gases than it absorbs. But not only that, when Greenland releases so much fresh water, slowing down the overturning of heat, it holds more warm surface water in the Southern Ocean, which then can accelerate the melting of ice in West Antarctica. So we have to recognize that building resilience is now a systemic challenge for us to handle and safeguard all the global commons on planet Earth. So we can talk of a true transformative moment in order to really navigate towards a safe operating space within planetary boundaries. This is, in my mind, the lesson of COVID. We can rise as a community, and we can address existential risks. The challenge for us now is to understand that while the COVID crisis was a smash that hit us immediately, we get infected and we risk our own and our dear neighbors, families, health, and survival. Well, the climate crisis is very similar. It's just that the impacts are further away in time. We must learn, and this is one of the core parts of resilience, that when you invest in resilience, you don't get the benefits straight, just round the corner. You invest for the long-term future, and that we must understand that when it comes to climate impacts, there's a difference between commitment time and impact time, meaning that the impacts may hit many decades ahead, perhaps even centuries ahead, before we reach, say, 6-7 meters sea level rise because we are pushing the Greenland ice sheet too hard. But the commitment moment may be now, the moment when we press the on button of irreversible changes. What we must understand that to solve the climate crisis, we must build resilience to avoid pressing the on button for irreversible changes, which may play out as impacts further down the line. So this, I think, is one of the new insights we need to understand in order to navigate our future. And I just want to close by giving you the 5 attributes of resilience building as far as science has concluded today. It's about investing in diversity, social and biological diversity. It's about recognizing redundancy. It's not only about optimization and efficiency, we also need agency, some insurance, ability to have different ways of falling on the right side in crisis, thanks to having different options. We need inclusivity and equity. We need connectivity, collaboration, while at the same time self-sufficiency. And we need adaptive learning. All of these factors is built into the risk and resilience work that you represent. And we need this so direly because we are in a planetary emergency. But we're also in a transformative moment. And the window scientifically is still open for us to navigate a future that can support equitably and prosperously a future for humanity on Earth. So in my mind, we still have a chance, but now is a time to rise really fast, and resilience building is at the heart of that. So back to you, and good luck with your work.
Professor Rockstrom, thank you so much for that very clear glimpse into the 2 options we have: pressing the on button for irreversible change, or pressing the go button while we have time for unbreakable commitments. It's a real call to action that we are at a transformational moment in history, and it's really our choice. Thank you for challenging us today and sharing the wisdom of your experience, and also a glimpse of hope that there is a chance still to make sure that our planet is safe, prosperous, and peaceful, not just for us, but for future generations to come. Thank you. It's my pleasure to now introduce Mr. Dirk Reinhardt, who's the Vice Chair of the Munich Re Foundation, who will tell us a little more about the Risk Award and has the wonderful job of announcing the 2021 award winners. Over to you, Dirk.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Professor Rockström. Ladies and gentlemen, dear project partners, dear co-speakers, dear audience, it's wonderful to see so many people participating in this 2021 Risk Award ceremony. Now, all protocols observed, I would like to also welcome you to this online ceremony of the Risk Award 2021. Today, we present the 6th Risk Award together with UNDRR, and I have the pleasure to represent the Munich Re Foundation, one of the founders of the Risk Award. The Munich Re Foundation is a non-for-profit organization working in the fields of water, climate change, poverty reduction, and disaster risk reduction. We were founded in 2005 by the reinsurer Munich Re. Now, what is clear is that the topics that are key for the work of the Munich Re Foundation are closely linked. The Risk Award is reflecting these interlinkages in a perfect manner. With the award, we aim at supporting financially, but also in terms of visibility, outstanding innovative projects in the field of disaster risk management in order to increase resilience, as Professor Rockström just reminded us. Heat waves, droughts, floods, storms, and cyclones are becoming more severe and more frequent. Since the 1980s, the number of such disastrous events has more than doubled worldwide from around 300 disasters per year to more than 600, according to the data from our founder, Mini Gree. Climate change is the main driver here, but also factors such as urbanization, demographic changes, and population growth increase the number of people affected by natural hazards. Just days ago and still ongoing, people in Central Europe were hit by extreme floods caused by heavy rainfall, which affected over 40,000 people. Around 170 lives were lost, over 800 people were injured, and thousands have damaged or no home to live in. This event truly was another wake-up call that being prepared, understanding and reducing risks, getting the right warnings and knowing what to do is key. And certainly climate change cannot be ignored and we need to act now. But if in richer countries like Europe, extreme weather events can have such devastating impact, what happens to billions of those who are severely affected by extreme events, but do have much fewer resources to protect themselves effectively? For the 2021 award, we have been looking into the theme of nature-based solutions for disaster reduction. Why do we find this topic important? Because it's a holistic approach, sustainable, cost-efficient, and people-centered. We believe that nature-based solutions in combination with educating people and offering them new income resources are a valuable contribution for successful disaster risk reduction projects. They come with many synergies, such as creating jobs, environmental protection, more livable and safer housing environments, while at the same time often being less expensive than highly complex technical approaches. When one thinks of nature-based solutions, a few options immediately come to mind. Reefs protect the coastline and people living nearby. Around 90% of the energy from storm and tidal waves can be absorbed by reefs. Mangroves have the capacity to significantly reduce the impact of flood waves. Forests, with their widely rooted trees, literally hold the soil and water in place. They protect against erosion, avalanches, and landslides, and provide shade when it's hot. And all three provide a habitat for numerous species and can play an important role in the carbon cycle. They can therefore improve disaster prevention, protect biodiversity, and protect the climate at the same time. And besides these very obvious nature-based solutions that I just mentioned, there are many, many other small or bigger approaches. This is why we, together with our partners, aimed at receiving a variety of different and innovative ideas for our 2021 Risk Award. We received 47 applications from 20 countries around the world. The proposals were as diverse as our nature itself. It was not easy for us and for the jury to choose a winner. There were 7 projects on the final shortlist, all of which scored with innovative ideas and their great commitment to people at risk. All of them deserve a special recognition, which we will give to them in the Best Projects Proposal 2021 publication and by handing over an official Risk Award certificate to recognize these projects. However, there can only be one project that receives the 2021 Risk Award, which includes project funding of 100,000 euros. And I'm very happy and very proud to announce this year's winning project, which is Strong Roots, Strong Women, Empowering Women for Community and Coastal Ecosystems Resilience in Central Vietnam, organized by the Vietnamese Center for Social Research and Development, CSRD, and the UP transfer at the University of Potsdam, Germany. Now, if you would meet in person, they would get a nice round of applause now, which you need to imagine now. CSRD is a well-established NGO focusing on the role of women and vulnerable groups in disaster risk management. The University of Potsdam, which will back up the project with scientific research. This combination of partners is very promising and fits well with the Munich Re Foundation's motto, from knowledge to action. With a solid scientific background or knowledge, smart and efficient solutions can really make a difference for people at risk and support them to action, so to say. Both organizations will explain their project to improve coastal protection and increase resilience of people in Central Vietnam in a minute. But let me emphasize that we are very happy to start this new project with CSRD and the University of Potsdam. Now, let me take the opportunity of this award ceremony to express our deepest gratitude to the jury members who read and rated all proposals. We would also like to thank UNDRR and Mami Mitsutori for co-hosting the Risk Award and the wonderful UNDRR team for their support and organizing this wonderful online ceremony, which holds a cultural surprise at the end. And a very big thank you goes to my colleague Kirsten Bartschult and the Munich Re Foundation team for successfully managing the Risk Award project on our side. And last but not least, thank you to Professor Johan Rockström for accepting our invitation to give a keynote. This indeed is a great honor. Now let me hand over to Mi Pam, Director of CSRD, and Philipp Bubeck, representing the University of Potsdam. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Philipp Bubeck from Potsdam University. Thanks again to the Munich Re Foundation, the UNDRR, and the colleagues for organizing this exciting event today, and for the Risk Award, which was awarded to our project, Strong Roots, Strong Women. And next slide, please. As the name of the project already implies, we focus mainly on two topics. One is empowering women in disaster risk management, and the second is ecosystem-based disaster risk reduction, or EcoDRR. And why we believe that EcoDRR is a promising means to strengthen the role of women in disaster risk management, why this is needed, and how we aim to integrate both aspects in our work to enhance community and coastal ecosystem resilience in Tuathinue province is something both me and I want to explain over the coming minutes. Next slide, please. Yeah, Tuathinue province is a province in central Vietnam. An important geographical feature is the Tam Giang Lagoon, which provides natural resources for more than 100,000 people directly. Also Hai Dung commune, you see an aerial photograph on the bottom right, on the top right, sorry, is located at the very shore of the Tam Giang Lagoon. And the province is frequently affected by severe flooding from heavy rainfall, the sea and rivers. And on the bottom right, you see a picture from a flood event that occurred just last October when the province was hit again. And as Professor Rockström said, in the future, it is projected that flood hazards will further increase, among others, due to climate change. However, human vulnerability to flooding, next slide, please. Human vulnerability to flooding is also largely determined by socioeconomic factors. And a group that is commonly considered especially vulnerable to flood impacts are women in the global south. And this is also what CSRD experiences in their daily work with local communities, and what we also find in empirical data that we collected in the region. For instance, women usually take care of children, sick and elderly, and are therefore less mobile during flood events. There's also a gender gap in flood resilience due to socioeconomic, cultural reasons, and a lack of representation. And livelihoods of women often directly or more directly depend on natural resources, local natural resources threatened by flooding. At the same time, women as local managers of natural resources have the knowledge and experience to build community resilience, and therefore strengthening the role of women in disaster risk management is key, or is considered key, to reduce the societal burden from natural hazards. And this is also highlighted in the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction and also in the Sustainable Development Goals. Next slide. Now, ecosystem-based DRR is, according to our experience, a promising means to strengthen the role of women, because ecosystem DRR is more accessible to vulnerable groups compared with large-scale structural measures, which often have negative side effects, environmental side effects. And because the ecosystem services provide or support especially those who directly depend on local natural resources. To give one example, it was mentioned before, mangroves not only help to reduce wave and tidal energy and coastal erosion, but they're also a very important breeding ground for fish, supporting inshore fishing, which is often carried out by women in the lagoon, as you can see in the picture here. Next slide, please. And changes can actually be quite fast. So on the left picture, you see a member of the Women's Union in Haijun Commune planted a mangrove back in 2018. You see the same area just 2 years later in summer 2020 with the mangroves not fully grown, but almost. And you see on the right picture, a mangrove recovering from the severe flood event in October 2020. And the people in Haijun Commune reported to CSRD also that aquatic life around this mangrove area increased, supporting their livelihoods. And they approached CSRD if they could expand these mangrove areas. So according to our experience, eco-DRR in combination with strengthening the role of women is a promising means to increase ecosystem and community resilience in the project area. Me. Our next slide, and then me goes on.
Thank you for having me today to introduce our project. Let us say thank you to Ministry Foundation, the Eduardo, and the Evaluation Committee. To have this progress is very important because it is an opportunity to follow up our previous achievement. So in this project, we will aim at empowering women in disaster risk management. They will help to enhance the coastal community.
Me, sorry to interrupt, it's Stephanie here. We're struggling a little to hear you. Can you just speak a little louder? It's not interference, it's just your volume. If you can speak a little louder, I think it will be clearer. I'm sorry to interrupt, but thank you.
Oh, thank you. So is it better now?
Much better.
Much better.
Okay,
thank
okay,
you.
okay. So again, sorry for that inconvenience. So this our honors to have this award because it's very important. It gives us opportunity to follow up our previous phase. So in this project, we aim at empowering women in disaster risk management. So they will have to enhance the coastal community and ecosystem resilience. So this will contribute to the overall goal is climate change impacts mitigation. Next, please. So in this project, we will facilitate and cooperate with the Women Union and the Disaster Management Committee. So these two local partners are very important to us because they contribute a lot to our achievement, and facilitating the cooperation between Women Union and Disaster Management Committee means that we will create more room and opportunity for women to participate in DRM planning and policy making process. Next, please. So there are 4 main envisaged outcomes in our projects. The first one, we will contribute to the reduction of flood risks and coastal erosion. And the second one, with our support in terms of improve the habitat, we will also improve the livelihood for local people. They may harvesting more food and they may provide tourism services but from the ecosystem. And the third one, from our intervention, local women group will also have some direct income from eco-DRR practices. Particularly in this project, they may sell the seedlings to other community nearby, then they have income. And the last one is that we will see the improvement of ecosystem resilience. Next, please. So in order to achieve that envisaged outcomes, we will have 3 main activities. The first one is that we will create a community mangrove nursery. So at least we will, together with local community, especially women group, we plan at least 12,000 seedlings, and they can sell it for revenue, and they use the revenue, the money from selling seedling for microcredit fund. Also, this project is in line with the latest policy of the province when they want to form the protected area in Tam Giang and Cầu Hai Lagoon. Next, please. And the second activity is that we will scale up the Lai Women Eco DRR Theater. We will work with Women Union and Disaster Management Committee at provincial level to organize the Eco DRR Theater Festival. This is a very good risk communication tool at grassroots level. So we will work with 10 different local groups living along the coastal line. And this activity will reach at least 1,000 coastal residents. And this is the first time we have this kind of festival in our province. When we work with them, we organize the festival and we will do the best one, the best performance, and we will organize the awards ceremony. Next, please. And here a picture that shows you how local women enjoy the performance in the period phase. They are enjoying the communication events talking about climate change adaptation and eco-DRR. Next, please. And the last activity is that we will conduct the scientific evaluation. We will have two different evaluations. The first one will be about the communication effectiveness, and the second one is about flood impacts and eco services provided by mangroves and nursery area. So from this evaluation, we can examine what aspects of eco-DRR need to be enhanced to build up the social cohesion to fight against the impact of climate. And here is our story map we created. And for further detail and activity and picture and some further information about our community could be found in here. And it's also one channel we can present our achievement to the public. Next, please. And we would like to say thank you to many other people who contributed and support us, our colleagues, organization, and local partner. We would not have this achievement without their support during the time we worked with them at provincial level and international level. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Philip and Me, for that comprehensive and engaging look at your plans for the project. Congratulations on winning. We extend also our congratulations to all entrants for the award, but we're really excited to see what your success brings. I think we've heard commitment, cooperation, cohesion, and change. We know that women are more vulnerable to multi-hazard risk events. So investing in women's resilience is investing in community resilience and making that transformational change between women being victims of risk to being agents of their own change in the cycle of risk reduction and resilience building. So thank you. We're really pleased to have you share that exciting news with us and project scope with us today. It's my pleasure now to introduce Mami Mizutori, who's the Special Representative of the Secretary General for Disaster Risk Reduction and the head of the United Nations Office for Risk Reduction. Mami, please share your thoughts with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. Dear friends from all over the world, because just looking at the chat, literally everybody from all over the world is joining us today. It's a real pleasure to co-host and join you all for the 2021 Risk Award winner ceremony. At the outset, I would like to thank Munich Re Foundation, represented today by Mr. Reinhardt, for generously sponsoring this exciting award. I would also like to acknowledge all finalists and extend my heartfelt congratulations to the conveners of the Strong Roots, Strong Women project, represented today by me and Philip, on winning the Risk Award. This is not only testament to your innovation, convening, bringing science and art together to your project, but importantly to your commitment to improving the lives of women and their families, and through them, the wider community. You are truly an impressive example of making risk and resilience everybody's business. Now, I recognize the focus of this year's award with great enthusiasm. The focus is nature and eco-based disaster risk reduction. I cannot really think of anything more timely. We all know that our planet, our only planet, is facing crisis on multiple fronts. Climate change altering our seasons and living environments. Extreme weather-related disasters have doubled over the past 20 years. Last year, more than 50 million people were affected by water and climate-related events, while simultaneously battling COVID-19. And as Professor Rockström already shared with us in detail, during this summer alone, we have seen so many countries devastated by floods, heat waves, wildfires, and storms. And at the heart of these emergencies exist our unsustainable development pathways. As Professor Rockström has so eloquently and in a way a bit scaredly, reminded us, people have pushed nature beyond its limits. It is a human-induced crisis, and we must now make nature part of the solution to fix this crisis. Ecosystem acts as a buffer against hazards, preventing disaster and reducing disaster impact on people, critical infrastructure, and basic services. Importantly, the most marginalized people in many countries in the global south, they rely on ecosystems for their livelihoods and to protect and enhance their resilience. The Strong Roots, Strong Women project is a great example of how international cooperation and partnership between the private and public sectors support the implementation of the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction 2015-2030, which is the global blueprint for resilience. The Sendai Framework empowers women who are at the front line of climate change and demonstrates how important nature-based solutions are for building community-level resilience. The UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, UNDRR, we are looking forward to see this project progress and have great impact. We know that you have already had a lot of impact, but we can see that there is much more potential. And I think this is why the reward has been awarded to you. We will explore synergies between your project and our own initiative in Asia Pacific, which is the Women's International Network for Disaster Risk Reduction, the WIN-DRR initiative. This is an initiative to empower women to become leaders in the area of disaster risk reduction, because historically, disaster management came from civil protection in many parts of the world, and in particular, I would say in Asia Pacific, it is still a very, should I say, a male-dominated area. But we know that we need to bring in women into the leadership, and women have to be working alongside men in order to make the disaster risk reduction initiatives really resilient and inclusive. Ecosystem resilience and nature-based solutions are growing areas of focus for UNDRR. This is the other point I wanted to make. We very recently published a Words into Action guide on nature-based solutions for disaster risk reduction. And my colleague is now putting on the chat box link to this Words into Action. This is a guide which provides policy and practical guidance, and we hope that it will assist countries, communities, and individuals in developing and advancing their national risk reduction in climate strategies, national, local, and in the community, And we hope that this guide will help scale up nature-based solutions for disaster risk reduction. In closing, I wish the project leaders every success, and I would like to once again sincerely thank the Munich Re Foundation for our ongoing partnership in the Risk Award and in the overall efforts to increase community resilience and contribute to a better, safer future for people and planet, which we do need to do urgently. Thank you very much.
Mami, thank you so much for those timely reminders. And we certainly do at UNDRR appreciate that very valuable partnership with Munich Re Foundation. We know that multi-hazard risk cannot be dealt with in silos. We need innovative partnerships and innovative collaborations at a global level to be able to reverse some shocking trajectories. And we've heard a lot today about connections. And I think that music is the ultimate connector. It speaks to our hearts when sometimes our brains have had enough. So I can't tell you how wonderful it is to introduce Christoph Muller and Eduardo Makarov, who AKA are Muller and Makarov, who present Anthropoceno. Both are founding members of the Paris-based Goten project, and their new musical project focuses on the Anthropocene. They describe their music as a melodic tool for global awareness, and its goal is to increase awareness about what human activity entails for Earth ecosystems, and to foster the idea that not only is it possible for humanity to act, but it is imperative to act now. And through their music, they aspire to link climate change to the 16 other Sustainable Development Goals and to the rights of nature. And the song that we're about to see and hear performed was especially recorded for the Risk Award. We're very grateful for them sharing their enormous talent and words of wisdom with us. Thank you.
Hola a todas y a todos.
Hello everybody. We are very happy to be here with you at the Risk Award Ceremony 2021. We will perform today for you a song from our new project Anthropoceno, Music and Science.
Y la canción se llama El lloro de la tierra. Fue escrita y compuesta aquí mismo, en París, conjuntamente con la gran artista Mariana Carrizo, del norte de Argentina, de la provincia de Salta, y que va a cantarla ahora en vivo con nosotros.
El lloro de la tierra could be translated as the cry of the earth, or maybe the tears of the earth. Or to quote Johann Rockström, welcome to the Anthropocene.
Bienvenidas al Antropoceno.
Silencio del mundo, en el campo del olvido, grito el lloro de la tierra. Hará el hombre un alarido.
Well, I don't know about everybody joining us today, but I have goosebumps and chills. I think this extraordinary musical statement demands a very clear response from us today, doesn't it? The words, "My drum explodes at the sky." Are we too exploding at the sky in rage at our willful destruction of the very thing that sustains our life? Or are we exploding in hope that there is still time, still the resources available, if the will is to be found to secure a healthy symbiotic existence? I think we've heard a very clear call today from Professor Rockström, from the Strong Roots, Strong Women Project, from Munich Re Foundation, from UNDRR. Risk is not someone else's business. It is everybody's business. So what am I? And what are you doing to make sure that we are moving in the right direction from risk to resilience? In closing, and as we consider that, I'd like to thank all of those who have made today possible. To Munich Re Foundation for their vision and fund endowment, to UNDRR for contributing to the focus of the Risk Award, making sure it's addressing the big issues of our time, to the jury members, Renate Bleich, Susan Cutter, Michael Faber, Benjamin Carmore, Nate Matthews, Ricardo Minishbeck, Haresh Shah, Sandra Wu, who have together waded through hundreds of pieces of paper, rigorously debated and made a wise decision. To all the entrants of the award, we acknowledge the time and commitment it took to apply, and we wish you well in your endeavours. To those who've joined us today, thank you for being with us and celebrating with us. And to the winners of the Risk Award, all eyes will be on you, and we wish you every success. So that's all for now. I thank you all for joining us. Go well, be well, and keep the planet well. Thank you and goodbye.